Good afternoon and most welcome to Hälsovetarbacken in the hospital area of Gothenburg. It's not too far from Linnéplatsen and the lovely botanical garden, which is even more precious than the trädgårdsförening that is usually frequent. Now spring is coming on and we see a lot of leaves. I would today demonstrate and speak a little bit about the Alexander technique. It's a book by Richard Craze. What name? Craze. I hope he's not crazy. No, far from it. Alexander technique is a way of reorganizing ourselves to become a unity. I would actually say it's not too far apart from the things we earlier discussed, how taking in contradictions and letting the polytonal vibrato sing, we can bring unity and wholeness. And I think you remember also from Stephen M Rosen how he points to whole and wholeness. These homonyms in English, one pointing to something that is an absence of a sort, and the other one is pointing to the absolute unity of things. I can compare the wholeness to a body in balance, where intellect and body are not contradictory, so that the thinking, talking, intellectualizing is completely separate from our bodily balance. I would say the whole is a humbleness. A humbleness towards ourselves, where we realize that we are human small existences. We don't have omniscient understanding of everything. A tendency in our thinking that makes us literally press our chin forward, becoming stern-minded and stiff-necked. Stiff-necked you can find as a quotation already in the Bible. People who are not amenable and open to the voice of God, listening to Him, they are stiff-necked. Stiff-neckedness in philosophy, linguistics, neurology, science of cognition is about ignoring the totality, the whole, becoming, well, I would say it's a sort of mini megalomania, not the whole way through. And of course the megalomania that makes you to take away a part of your reality. The other side, so to speak. In Chinese ideology, this is referred to presence and absence, yin and yang. In our bodily system, the absence is what is around us, our environment, that we usually ignore when we try, as I do here, to stand tall. But by taking in the environment, the surrounding, I become more integral as a person. The whole, and I'm using it with only an H, of what is around me, my non-existence, will make the existence that is me more whole with a W. And I would say that defy what we normally think of reality. I think the obsession is to be fixed, the chin out like this, bearing down into this area of the neck, setting the delicate balance of the head, resting on the occipital cervical, the number one cervical in our column, where all the weight of the circa 4.5 kilo of head is distributed. Pushing that back, chin forward, and you have the startle reflex. Which doesn't let the aerating organs, the lungs and the heart region, to be open-chested. It's a constrictive tendency that begins with a displacement of the head. Back this direction and down. I demonstrate again. I hope this is visible. Do we need to put light?
Now you have to take your off your hood.
So the movement is back like this and down. And I am now exaggerating to make it absolutely clear. If you focus there, Kalle, we can go directly to the neck and leave the rest of the body out. See this part only.
Mm.
So, back and down. The back tendency is this, chin forward. And then we have the down tendency. And I feel directly that this is bearing on my feet. Most of the weight is now coming forth to my toes because of the offsetting of balance already in the head. And the reason for that is the head is on top of everything, and thereby it rules everything that comes below. Thus making it the most important balance in the whole body. This is the reason why F.M. Alexander called it the primary control. It comes before everything else. So how is the connection between the absence and my bodily balance as an existence? Well, into this equation also comes attention, awareness. In our modern day, we have a tendency to have what I call punctual awareness. It's not broadened. It's like small points, taking in a very narrow focus of the world. And I will take the bravery here to compare that to the left hemisphere take on reality. This attention can be compared to the bird looking for seeds from above when it's flying. It's a narrowed down attention that doesn't take in the surrounding. Whereas the expanded attention of the right hemisphere goes in all directions, not only behind me, but also above me. There is a lot to take in above myself as well, and that will help with my balance. And I'd say this equals pretty good the Kantian take. Immanuel Kant was renowned for having a bad posture, which was actually in those days quite unusual. He moved in the streets of his hometown, Königsberg, with his head looking into the street, without taking in what I imagine to be the beautiful sights of his hometown. It was an Enlightenment Rococo city built by Frederick the Great, among others, to make it the first capital of the Prussian kingdom, later to be replaced by Berlin. And this is close to the point we were making earlier here with Jacques Derrida, who was using sarcasm, humor and irony to prove the point. Why is that? My first understanding when coming across Derrida many years ago was that he wants to prove the point even harder by using sarcasm. You know, if you want to make an argument strong, you can say, oh, that is pretty sure to work if there is a governmental idea of rebuilding the traffic lines. No. In a way, the sarcasm is not like that at all. It is true. He literally means it. He wants to show that we can have opposing views in our system. This is what Kant could not accept. Opposing views within oneself. And this is a thing that the left hemisphere cannot accept. It is only one point, one approach, one take. One determinant origination. You can call it the origo. You can call it the perspective from nowhere that is still situated. Because oddly enough, this fixated starting point is actually very close to a point from nowhere, which Thomas Nagel indicated is a non-understanding. And how do you, so to speak, deconstruct a non-understanding? Well, what we call sarcasm and irony and so forth, to show that the broader understanding that takes in both the opposing poles is closer to the totality of reality. What is surrounding us and what is me. I am not in contrast to my surrounding. I am part of the surrounding. And for me to be balanced, integrated, wholesome, I need to take in the absence I usually ignore. What is around me, what is uninteresting. I would like to give some example because I think this could be the start of a triology. To give maybe 3 episodes could be an idea to give a starting point how to make our bodies and minds more integral. Because I am certain to come into more to deconstruction, we need to change our bodily makeup. We know today that fascia, the binding spiralic or vortex organ, if you like, is thinking. Thinking is not situated in a brain within my skull only. The thinking is evenly distributed all over what is you. It is not brain in the vat or brain in the skull, which is equally bad, I would say. And interestingly enough, it was the view of René Descartes, not only Kant. Let me begin with the chair. I'm going to make it simple today. We have been in this dichotomizing unnatural state for such a long time, so we changed even the furniture we use. This roundedness is in order to let the person who's collapsed without balance sit in a way that he or she feels to be comfortable. That's the reason for this chair. But we are physically not built for this chair. And it would help to separate body from mind. You will collapse. And here we have a ground rule, which you can remember. Can you stand on it? You can also sit on it. Mm-hmm. That's the true rule. Mm-hmm. Because we are built in that way. Mm-hmm. Is it something you can stand on, like I stand on this floor? You can also sit on it. Can I stand on this one? Well, not in a good way. So it's like half good. I know we can place color on this chair, so he will not collapse. but it's not excellent. But we have to make do. I would say most chairs today are created in order to maintain the duality, the dichotomy between mind and body. Because we actually feel it's better to be collapsed. We are so used to keeping the tensions in our hands, in my neck, in my back, to sort of maintain the dichotomy within my bodily system. And you see the money connections coming up here. I'm sorry I don't get into the physical yet. But also Wittgenstein shows, as we saw in the article in 1529, that there is a misuse of understanding. We think we can have understanding of everything, and we ignore what I would call the physical part of our body, which is doing. And we think about the brain, and listen now, we think about our consciousness / the brain as a non-doing thing, which is absolutely rubbish. The brain is closely connected to the muscular system. The brain does think. And to say that God can think everything directly is to deny God. It is nothing more than a denial. We use, let's call it the Cartesian Newtonian ideology that has nothing to do with whatever religion you're in, and use it to make God smaller. A true big God is a God of action, a forceful God. Let's try this chair, and do go into your normal tense collapse situation.
No, that's not good.
Well, we need to demonstrate that. This is for the viewers. So sit as you usually do. Yes, that's very good. This is the normal Kalle way of doing it. And what I will try to do is to show how we in an easy fashion can take him out of this collapse without unduly forcing him. We should be careful with each other, especially with ourselves. So you're not just rise all of a sudden and try to be correct. Yeah, we should avoid this. First, go back to the collapse, please. First, we can see if you can find the balance in his weight position. He's keeping his balance in 3 points. Left and right foot and his sitting bone. And we ask him here now to find the sitting bones. And I'm going to help to see, we can see. I can feel now by my hand that his back is not integrated. It has a dichotomized tendency. It needs or can or should. I don't know which prefix I should use, but here is coming. And now his bodily makeup is sensing this wholeness. As we let that wholeness be for a while, his body will feel the balance point. Yeah, you just have to mention it. This is extraordinary, actually more comfortable than the collapse situation. Why is that? Because we all sit collapsed. It has nothing to do what is comfortable for you or your thinking. It has to do with decades to be a half lifetime or whole of lifetime of habits. And these habits are not positive for yourself. So in the beginning here I feel a great tension in his arm, but slowly it dissipates. And the hand, oh look, it's easier now to move. In this more delicate state, we can put it like this. We will be able to move our heads, move our eyes, and also direct our sensory organs in a way that is more helpful for us. I can feel he's left-handed. There's more tension here. Think about sitting down. Yeah. See? Now it's easier. There. And firstly now I approach the neck. I try can see it's already easier to move, he said. And now we try this. Think of a little raindrop moving over the back of your nose. Don't do anything. Just think it. That is the position where we can think up. And as we go up, yeah. Now the lock is becoming looser. You can move more freely. And that was the point why the head is the primal control. Because we can, yeah, it's much looser now. So if the neck is in the locking position, everything will have more strain further down, all the way down to the toes. But as now, the position of the head is more neutral. Also the left hand, which was rather strained before, is now becoming more balanced. You can look here, you can also compare that when my hand is more balanced, my writing will also be clearer. And as shown by, for instance, Raymond I. Dart and others, Ted Diamond is especially working with this, an American researcher with the Alexander technique. We know that the sensory organs, which are placed inside of the ear here, because Kalle mentioned hearing really good before. In the inside of the ear, we have the, it's a complicated word, the endogenous localizers, and they don't use the eyes. As you sat down, which everybody else, you used your eyes to localize the chair and to know where you are. So the eyes is very connected to the I, your social self, and of course the I. Hearing doesn't have that tendency. And hearing is endogenous. So if you get more into yourself, your balance will come from you, not from an untrustworthy outside. It will give you more balance because you already sit better. And of course, what will happen in his system now, since he's not used to sit this way, it will feel unusual. Could even feel uncomfortable. Be prepared that sitting in balance could be uncomfortable in the beginning. But trust me, it's 100% better than the other position. It doesn't bear down on your structure. It doesn't destroy your column, because a head that weighs 5 kilos, if it's off balance, I'll just try this, like this, it will put a tremendous pressure here on the atlanto-occipital cervical, and it will bear down the whole of column and cause havoc. So we managed to make this work even on this half nice chair. In the university library where we are, there is only 3 chairs that I usually go to find, which are completely flat. Do remember what you can stand on, a flat chair. You can also sit normally on and sit comfortably. And you can also sit on the floor if it's not too hard, of course. I will take this a little step further with your permission, and we're going to go up to standing position. But for that I need to change the camera a bit. Do bear with me. Yeah. So when you sit like this and you're becoming more and more balanced, we can do a getting up movement and see if we can use the directionality of the head to take us up. And that means the movement starts with the head, or it starts with your intention, and it will take you up. And that is a new experience. We are not accustomed to that. We usually start to get up by tensing our knees or tensing our thighs and similar things. And since I'm not an Alexander teacher myself, I will only do it halfway. But I think it's not so bad, because the 100% experience of going to an Alexander teacher, it's a bit too much. You feel nothing when you get up, ease, and you want to have it again, and you become greedy. So you will not become that greedy with my handling here. Yeah, very good. You keep your whole back integral, and you can draw your feet just 5 centimeters back, not much. Yeah, I think that would be enough, and we can ease off the hands like this carefully. And the only thing, think of the neck as being free. Keep that balance as much. You will lose it at some point, but it doesn't matter, because for every time you do it, you will gain more integral force, become more whole and wholesome, more deconstructed, if you like. See if you can get up this way. Whoa, look at that! So much better. So you've had a sense of directionality, and the good thing, after getting up this way, the back is keeping its integrity. See, if the back moves, the hands come secondary to move. Before, it was a tendency to freeze here, and the arms did not move freely. Next time we'll try to do walking, and then you will see that when the head and the neck are more in correspondence with each other, the walking will become easier, more whole. And we can sit down again, and yeah, very good, very good. A bit more to that stand, yeah. So that's a non-Alexander teacher almost managed, which I think is perfect. Very good. Let me add to this. Why? There are 2 reasons for getting in and out of the chair like this. The first reason, I think we all understood that now, is that it makes for a more beautiful movement, an easier movement. But there is actually a second point. By doing this in activity, you learn your understanding of the head directing. So next time when we just sit down like now, that will become stronger. So it's a learning process also. So don't never ever demand perfection from the first time. Do actually think about how we mentioned in the 1529 or 1528 that mathematics and understanding the world and also balance, it's a doing process that takes time. Aiming for perfection directly can make your intention go from a lustful, happy intention to a must. I have to do this. But there is actually a very interesting connection here to philosophy. And I took the liberty to take poor old Kant as an example. But he is the inventor of the must philosophy, or the must moral, called duty morality. And studying his life, there are not many volunteering things for him. Things in his life were necessities. No choice, called duty. Make the going up a lustful event. A happy, relaxed, lustful event. And think that every time you do it, you add a little bit of directionality. Otherwise, it will become duty. And once you're up here, you will start feeling that the ease becomes natural. It's a learning process. And as we mentioned before by Jan Eiskens, the muscular makeup of us, we having a lot of T2 muscles. It takes time to change these into the more harmonious T1. It takes at least 9 months. But little by little, every time you do it, Kalle, you will change your system to the better. And it will make it easier for you. No, I am not standing balance myself here. I'm getting into the conversation. It will make it easier for you also to find the balance on standing. So the weight will be distributed equally on the feet to make for a good starting position to move about. So there is no particular strain in the movement. Any last thing, a comment, or do you want to do something else?
No.
Okay. It was excellent, Kalle. Thank you very much for your help. It looked so good. I'm happy I managed. And for you, the book I took use of is actually called Teach Yourself, Alexander Technique, by Richard Craze.
Let's show
With a
the
Z on the end.
where is the name again? Oh,
It's
there. Richard Craze.
Richard Craze.
Okay, I say thank you. We say thank you.
Thank you and
Goodbye.
goodbye.